You're listening to Diminishing Returns, the podcast about sequels, prequels, spin-offs, and reboots. I'm Chris Scott, and across from me, the man that saw Alien. He thought they said illegal Alan sign up. It's Mr. Alan Johnson.
Hello, mother.
Hello, father. Wait, is that not what we're doing?
That's where we're going. With Star Wars released towards the end of the 1970s, movie studios were screaming for their own science fiction projects. And with 1979's Alien, Ridley Scott redefined what science fiction movies could be in the immediate aftermath of the Star Wars phenomenon. George Lucas had, with his space opera, created an intergalactic blockbuster filled with high adventure and colourful characters. In contrast, Ridley Scott had delivered a dank, dark, claustrophobic horror movie, a Jaws in space. When the crew of the Nostromo were awoken from their stasis sleep to investigate a mysterious signal en route home to Earth, they begin to be stalked and attacked by a merciless and relentless killer alien they have unwittingly brought aboard their ship. With this plot, the movie could easily have been made as a forgettable, trashy B-movie under screenwriter Dan O'Bannon's original title of Star Beast. But with Ridley Scott's deft touch and artful direction, the project was steered to box office success, critical acclaim, and several prestigious award nominations. The movie also spawned an unlikely franchise and a cottage industry of rip-offs and cheap imitations, like the Italian splatterfest and unofficial sequel, Alien 2 on Earth. In an era where sequels and franchises were not commonplace, no one could have expected the results of the first bona fide Alien sequel, written and directed by a young and relatively inexperienced James Cameron. For Aliens, Cameron would have to play hardball with the studio executives to ensure the return of Sigourney Weaver to her role of the now iconic Ellen Ripley. Picking up where Alien left off, Aliens would see Ripley return to LV-426 under pressure from her corporate bosses, this time escorted by a squad of battle-hardened Marines, to investigate her story regarding the alien creature and the fate of the colonists on the newly settled planetoid. With the squad having to face not just one, but a horde of salivating, slimy aliens, the mission quickly goes south, forcing Ripley to once again battle for her survival. Aliens is that rarest of beasts, a sequel that successfully builds on the story of its predecessor without ever repeating itself, expanding characters, and existing on its own merits. Aliens moved away from the claustrophobic existential horror of Alien into bombastic 80s action movie territory, framed as a gritty war movie in space. And in doing so, James Cameron has created not only an instant classic, but the queen bitch of all sequels.
Yeah, cool. Man, we get to talk about Alien and aliens, thank fuck. You know, a bit more excited about this than our 50 Shades of Grey episode, mate. And also, I definitely jerked off more because I love these films. Alien, I don't know about you, man, but I am gay for Alien. No Stromo. Come on, guys, we're already having fun here. I mean, right, Alien, I mean, it's great, right?
Perfect, and it's so economic in what's going on. Essentially, a crew, like a blue-collar work crew, are coming home in their space truck from the space factory to get back to Earth, and on the way, they have like a deep space signal that tells them to go, and the company they work for, the giant evil corporate overlords that they work for, have mandated, if you run into anything out there, you've got to investigate, bring it back. And so the ship goes to see what this distress signal is, but Ripley, Sigourney Weaver, she sort of interprets the signal actually as more of a warning than a distress signal. And she doesn't want to go near it. She doesn't want to entertain this.
I think that's what's great about the film is it could be a distress signal, so they go down to investigate, and while there's people already in there looking about, Ripley thinks, oh wait, hold on, this might actually be a warning. Now, that's a lovely little bit of, although we as the audience are like, it's very unlikely they've spent this money on a film where they go in and find something and it's like, oh, it's unlimited ice cream. Woo! Let's bring this back out. We're going to have unlimited ice cream. It was going to be fine, guys. But then having one of the crew sort of realise it as well is just sort of the audience and that character are both like, right, we're on the same page here. Lovely little touch. And what I like about this first film is that as it starts as an ensemble piece, any one of these people could have been the hero. Watching it back, obviously, with hindsight, what I like about it is that so you're watching that first time, you're not going to know what's happening. Then obviously Ripley triumphs and survives over the alien. But it's very elegantly done that there's little bits beforehand where, Ellen Ripley's the smart one here.
Yeah.
Ellen Ripley's the badass one here. Ellen Ripley, of course, is going to end up being the one that survives, but they don't telegraph it like a lot of shitty films where there'd be a scene at the start where something happens and Ripley's like, haha, I'm amazing at stuff. And you'd be like, okay. But it's just little things like her going, the computer is trying to decipher this code that's been sent out. Do you mind if I have a look at it myself? So she's like already a go-getter.
Yeah.
And then, she sort of figures out this is actually maybe a warning. And Ash, the soon to be found out that he's an android Ash, is like, oh, well, it's kind of too late. And she's like, wait, what? No, this doesn't seem right. But without going like, this is ridiculous. It's just like little hints that, oh, she's a bit sharper than everyone else in that crew. And then she's the one when they bring John Hurt's character back with the facehugger on him, she's the one that's like, no, you can't come in because we've got protocols. I'm assuming you motherfuckers know what a facehugger is. If you don't, there's two things. You're listening to the wrong fucking podcast. And two, go watch Alien. And then Aliens. But all these things are just tiny little touches. None of them are necessarily heroic touches. But it means that once she does survive, you look back and you go, yeah! Because the rest of these guys are just like schmoes.
Well, that's...
and schlubs.
Not to paraphrase him, but Kim Newman, famed film critic and author, etc., in his book Nightmare Movies, describes the crew of this film as incompetents who are so annoying to be around. They obviously took this trip to deep space because no one on Earth can stand them.
Yeah, so, the film starts off with this lovely sort of stalking camera movement around the ship. So it really builds this atmosphere. It's so elegant, it's brooding, it's atmospheric, but yet it also is efficient. It's letting you know, right, this is the space they live in. It gives you a real sense of place, which a lot of sci-fi films maybe don't have, where it's just like indistinguishable corridors and things like that. Because obviously I've seen this film loads of times, but just like wee daft things were popping out when I'm watching it with a more critical eye. I don't know why, it's for this podcast. I'm usually just making dick jokes. But like, when Ash, Ian Holmes' character, is in like this wee seat that moves about a wee bit, this little kind of robotic seat thing that he sits in, and I was just like, they didn't have to do that. They just went, this guy's gonna have to move about between two computers. Can we make a cool seat? Can we make something that looks cool? Yeah, of course we can, because we're fucking craftsmen and we love this shit. Like, I wrote down, there's such great design. The spaceship, the interiors, even the computer readouts look cool as fuck.
Yeah, it's a great thing because it's a space travel-y future, and the mistake quite often with future stuff is always you push it too far. Whereas in Alien and Aliens, the costuming and stuff, there's just subtle things. But also you're dealing with manual labourers in space, so you just have them in coveralls. Of course the spaceship isn't a soft, organic, it's a functional utilitarian vehicle.
It basically looks like a fucking industrial estate that's floating about.
It's a giant skip floating through space. That's that's all it is.
They've really spent some time on making this look good and not just a general thing. We have given Ridley Scott a lot of shit in this fucking show.
Yes.
Right? You can go back to many of our episodes and hear us really slag him off. But this film is brilliantly directed.
Yeah, this film sort of came together sort of through a sort of alignment of several elements. Dan O'Bannon, the screenwriter for this project, had worked with John Carpenter on his film Dark Star. And off the back of that, Dan O'Bannon was asked to go and work with Alejandro Jodorowsky on his take on Dune, which is the great aborted science fiction film that everybody's devastated we don't have, but we should all be grateful we don't have it because Dune fell through. O'Bannon had worked on a partial script for Alien while in Paris with Jodorowsky, met his design team, so he met up with H.R. Geiger and got in touch with
Royal
people,
Geiger
and came back to the US with this sort of partial script and was able to then like parlay that into like a fuller script when he was working with his producing partner Ronald Shusett, and they worked on the script and they got it to Brandywine Productions, which is Walter Hill's production company.
Let's be clear, Walter Hill has had his fucking fingers on a lot of awesome pies.
Yeah.
Good man.
And Dan O'Bannon thinks he's going to direct this, but Walter Hill and his production team are like, this story needs buffed up. It could easily be like a Roger Corman B-movie thing.
Absolutely.
So they take like 8 drafts of this script. Every time it gets redrafted, Dan O'Bannon's a bit more annoyed and pushed a bit further out of the circle away from it. So it gets further away from him directing it. Walter Hill is like, oh, there's going to be a lot of special effects here. I'm into like like car chases.
It's not for me.
No, but he's seen The Duelists, Ridley Scott's first film, and he's like, man, that guy made a really beautiful film on not much money. Let's give it to him. He must obviously have seen his Strongbow and Hovis adverts as well, I imagine. And so just all of these things fall into place. But Dan O'Bannon is still close enough that when Ridley Scott's given the job, O'Bannon says, oh, I've always thought that Alien should look like this H.R. Giger painting, which I think it's called Necrocon 5 or something, or Necrocon 4.
Something like that, yeah.
Straight away, Ridley Scott sees Giger's work and he's like, yes, this is a guy we need in. And so the pieces just sort of fall into place. Well, so we didn't get Jodorowsky's Dune, but we got fucking Alien out of it.
Fuck Jodorowsky. Fuck your spice. Fuck your dudes with like weird blue contacts. Fuck your worm bullshit. Alright? We got fucking Alien. Fine. I would be happy if everyone involved in Dune was massacred to get fucking Alien. I mean, this is the thing, is that with great art, a lot of it is luck, a lot of it is happenstance, and everything just happens to come together. But we will need to talk about this. H.R. Giger's design of everything alien in this film, and I include the space jockey. Do we have to call them engineers now? No. Fuck you, Ridley Scott!
But all of the interior of the space jockey's ship, all of the sort of like organic looking shapes,
biomechanoid sort of stuff. The space jockey looks weird and cool, and that's a great touch as well. They come in and they see this big, giant, truly alien creature that's slightly humanoid, and they know that something's happened. And it's basically tipping a wink to what's going to happen to one of them. But as you're watching it the first time, you don't know it. You're just seeing weird shit. What the fuck's going to happen? And then we get to the real deals, right? The actual alien stuff, right? The eggs, the facehugger, the chestburster, and then finally the full-grown alien. Each of those is a fucking design classic. I mean, the eggs, just these slimy, weird, veiny fucking things. It opens up, then a giant spidery, fucking fingery, fucking
vagina
with a cock that comes out and puts in your fucking mouth. It's truly alien in the sense of this stuff is not just the guy in a suit, even though it ends up being a guy in a suit, it looks weird as fuck. Its life cycle is so weird when you eventually see the full-grown alien, right? And what I love as well, the characters in it might be insufferable and Ripley might be the smartest of them, but they're all logical in a way. That when John Hurt's Kane, obviously he comes across the egg, the facehugger jumps on him, and then obviously he gets back to the ship, the facehugger falls off, and then eventually Chestburster comes out and it runs off, right? And that great iconic scene we've all seen. We don't really need to get into that. We've all seen it, right? But what I love about it is then, for the next 10-15 minutes of the movie, they logically assume they're hunting a tiny alien. Because you would. They don't fucking know it grows within a dent, this giant thing. And so, in a lot of these films where people are like, oh, why did they split up? It's actually answered in the script. Because they're like, oh, it's just this weird fucking tiny thing that I just need to hit with a blowtorch and it's going to be fine. So, like, Harry Dean Stanton's like, I'm going off this way. Nobody's fucking that worried because it's a tiny wee thing.
We'll find it sooner.
And then we see the real fucking deal. Proper alien, which is still such a gross thing. It's just filled with slabbers. Just gross fucking shiny weird head and just body piping. It's just fucked up and weird and so fucking scary. A nightmare of teeth. I mean, teeth within teeth. What the fuck? This is genius.
Obviously, the really sexualized imagery of the different stages of the alien, like the vaginal facehugger, the penile looking chestburster going into the head of the alien actually looking like a giant cock again. It's also threatening and horrible, but conceivably real. Like, because we've seen the life cycle, we're convinced of this being a real beast.
We lost him far too soon. R.I.P. H.R. Giger. Whenever I think of giant penis-shaped biomechanoid monsters, I'll always think of you, my friend. But yeah, I mean, so this film is just tense. It's so fucking tense. Like the amount of mileage they just get out of that motion detector thing and it going beep. Beep, and it's like, I know what's going to happen, and I still shat myself at that scene in the vents. It's smart. Everything's a logical progression. The characters act logically in it. None of them are kind of big hero types. They're just like, fuck, we've got to get it on.
A whole team of just workaday slobs. The masterstroke for O'Bannon comes in the script. He says he's got the script, but all it is there's a crew lost in space. They're on their way back home. They're alerted to something. They go and investigate it, but he couldn't think of an elegant way to get the alien onto their ship, and then Shusha is is like, you know what if one of them gets impregnated?
Brilliant.
And they start to roll with this idea. If a male character is raped, like, and it's forcibly impregnated in him, that is just going to terrify everybody. It's going to push everyone's buttons. But also, if they think the thing they see is the monster, like you say,
which is already super creepy.
Obviously, they don't realise that it's impregnated inside him, so the real threat is yet to make itself known. It's such a great idea. Here's how you smuggle the bad guy into this film.
There's the great reveal that obviously Ash, who, without him being like a moustache twirling villain, but just like, oh, he's the one that was like, don't worry that it's not a warning, it's too late now. There's security protocols and quarantine protocols. No, we need to let him in. It's a direct order from the captain. There's all these things that actually in another film, particularly the letting them in, could be the actions of a hero. Yeah. But eventually she's like, okay, I'm the captain. I'm going to go look at the computer and see what's happening. And she suddenly realizes that basically the company are like, we think there's this thing here, bring it back. All other concerns are secondary. The crew are expendable.
But also she's had that conversation with Tom Skerritt, Dallas, and she's been saying like, how well do you know Ash? And he's like, I've done 5 space missions with another science officer. I was expecting him in this gig like 2 weeks before we go out.
Get replaced.
And it's almost like the corporation know there's something out there. They have a suspicion.
Heavily implied. It's another great touch that it's not just that they've accidentally found this, it's that actually this company they work for, and they're all bitching about money and how they're being ripped off and how they could end up forfeiting their money if they don't do the right thing.
If they don't go to investigate this, they're going to lose everything.
Again, it's that extra layer of the bosses are assholes and you're getting screwed, and now this is just the next level of it. And also then it means that instead of it just being bad luck, they've actually been rerouted there for a reason. Yeah. That not only is a great twist and reveal, but it's actually adds to the logic of what's happened, which is what a good twist should do, rather than just be like, something different's happened. That's great. Ian Holm, when he tries to murder Ripley, now I'm just going to say, when you're programming an android, I like the fact that they've went, okay, you need to make him just look like a normal person, talk like a normal person, so he just fits in. That all looks fine, right? Oh, what if he needs to kill someone? What are we going to have him do, kung fu? Oh, no, let's program that he rolls up a magazine and just tries to fucking choke somebody with it. Holy shit, you've set the android to brutal. What the hell?
More traumatic oral invasion. Like, it is horrible imagery, but so cold and calculated, because he is just like, I need to take you out.
And his cold dead eyes as he's doing it. What a performance for me in Home, man.
Brilliant.
And then so obviously we get great bits where like he basically gets his head bashed off. Great stuff.
Yeah, he just starts leaking spunk. He doesn't have blood. He's just got some like seminal fluid in his veins.
Dear Lord.
Was that an image that wasn't conjured for you?
Yeah, I was just like innocently thinking that's just like whatever androids have. Okay, it's cool, Alan, whatever.
Is that why they dream of electric sheep?
So it ends up basically Ripley's the only one that survives. Oh, and Jonesy the cat. Oh, I have a question. Why is there a fucking cat in the ship?
I think it's like an old pirate thing.
You're having to go into hypersleep. Don't take the fucking cat. The cat is amazing because it's like there's loads of great stuff with the cat and the way it reacts to the alien. But I just was like, because this is the 20th time I've watched it, I was just going, why have you got a fucking cat? You dicks.
I think it's just so they can have a cat scare.
Yeah, I mean, I know one script has a cat. I'm just saying.
I think it's purely like an old naval tradition, and which is a nice kind of tether to real world. You know, you have a ship's cat to keep the rats away.
Where was his parrot? Where was Dallas's fucking parrot, Alan? So obviously Ripley survives using her smarts. Great fake out at the end where she thinks she's in the ship alone, but actually the alien's there, and it's really well hidden. Great stuff. I really like that Ripley, being the female lead, wasn't sexualized at all. You know, you didn't get to see any Sigourney Weaver.
Well, that's a contentious thing. A lot of people really focus on this about her at the end, before the final battle, when she gets down to her skivvies, and it is is that male gaze? Like, why have we suddenly sexualized her? Maybe I'm wrong, but my read on that is that she thinks she's safe at that time, and it's about vulnerability. Like she's going, but also she's going to bed. Yeah, now I understand that maybe the panties don't fit too well and stuff, but everything in this world is corporate, all functional and utilitarian. There's no way that the corporation Wayland are like, you know what, here's a beautiful pair of fitting silk underoos.
To me, I didn't think it was particularly sexualized. On the fact that she's a young woman in her underwear at some point, but it wasn't, to me, it didn't seem salacious, actually. But, you know, maybe I'm just an innocent knave.
I know, maybe we are. She's like the youngest in the cast, I think. Her and Veronica Cartwright are the only two that are under 40 on the cast.
Veronica Cartwright, by the way, just of the two films that I really know her from, just spent the whole 70s screaming. Basically. basically. Just like, oh, man, you had a rough 70s. It was like every job. It's just like, oh, so what's the next one? Is it going to be a romantic comedy? No, you're just screaming in terror. She's great. I mean, everyone's great in it.
I mean, it's an all-star.
I love Yaphet Kotto.
I mean, come on.
I mean, he's called Yaphet Kotto. It's just like that's a cool name.
And the relationship he has with Harry Dean Stanton in this, they're always like kind of got a wee bit, they've got a bit of side action, they're always chatting away. Such a great little repartee. So the rest of the cast, being much more experienced, really didn't like Sigourney Weaver, and Ridley Scott tries to foster this. He tries to keep them sort of at odds with her, just so that it keeps this atmosphere going throughout the film, so that when she does, through the natural course of things, assume command, it feels more earned, because suddenly now they need to kowtow to someone who they don't seem to really gel with. And so the film, with the finale, it's like a horror film. It's the tension ratchets slowly until like the beast's there, and then once the beast's there, it is just killing the cast off like a slasher film, but this time the slasher bleeds acid. And what a great little inbuilt device, where so if they blow the alien's head off, potentially that acid's going to breach the hull and they're all fucked. What a great defense mechanism in a creature.
What they've done is, like you say, they've taken something that could have been podunk B-movie stuff, which could have been maybe fun, but really elevate and put thought into it.
Like, the movie becomes like a cultural touchstone, because we've had the release of Star Wars, it's taken over the world, it's changed mainstream cinema now forever. Obviously all the movie studios are like, we need a space movie, but I don't think for a second 20th Century Fox thought that they were going to get this space movie, and the original cut comes in at 3+ hours, and you just think, man, there must have been like loads of noodling, because it's so tight. You know, by the time that Sigourney Weaver has blasted the alien out of the airlock, you are just like, we have a new cinema icon here. It's on the crest of a wave of the sci-fi boom, second wave feminism. So the film is a massive critical and box office success.
A certain young man called James Cameron, he saw it on opening night, and he said, wow, it was his favourite science fiction film, along with 2001: A Space Odyssey, which again is another film that takes what could be kind of groovy space stuff, you know, sci-fi, nobody cares about it, and really takes it with respect and treats it seriously and puts real care into the world building and stuff like that. But we never heard of James Cameron again, so that's just a guy I know.
At this time, sequels aren't a common thing, and Fox want a second film, but there's a few wranglings going on, because Fox have been creative with the accounting on the first film, saying, oh, nobody really made any money. So James Cameron is getting the offer of Aliens, but before they actually offer him Aliens, 20th Century Fox have the rights to Spartacus, and they're going to make a Spartacus sequel, but it's going to be set in space, and they're asking James Cameron to make Spartacus in space.
What I like about that is that they haven't called it Spacetacus. I mean, like, it's right there, guys. Just fucking...
Well, we don't know what kind of magic James Cameron was going to work on that.
Well, from what I hear is that they went, we want to make Spartacus in space, and he went, what do you mean? And they went, like a sword and sandals thing in space, and he went, do you mean actual swords and actual sandals? And they went, yeah, and he went, well, guys, this has been a fun meeting, I'm gonna leave. And then at that point, supposedly, it's like he's literally almost on the way out the door, he's about to go, right, I'm out
bye
here.
Guys, thanks for
I mean, unless you've got anything else you want us to take a look at. And they go, I mean, there's the Alien sequel, at which point he describes it like a pinball machine going off his head, being like, are you shitting me? Of course.
Keep yourself together here, James. Like, just keep it
together. I would maybe take a look at that, sir. You're listening to episode 50. That's right, we made it 50. It is, of course, about Alien and aliens. We're going to take a small break here from me and Al just jerking it to these amazing films for me to tell you that in space, no one can hear you scream. It's a bit like the internet. Hey, you can get in touch with us on the internet by emailing us at diminishingpod@gmail.com. We're on Twitter at diminishingpod. On Facebook, we are Diminishing Returns Podcast. You can @ messages by putting at Diminishing Returns Pod. We have an Instagram, Diminishing Pod. We have a blog, diminishingpod.wordpress.com. Guys, we are an independent podcast, so we want you to rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. Tell your friends. We just want more people listening to the show. We've got a lot of great listeners. We're increasing every month, but we want to keep growing. Like, instead of maybe just having like one alien, you know how it was better when there was loads of aliens? Well, dear listener, we think of you like that slabbery evil monster. We want to see more of you. Thanks, guys. Aliens, listen, James Cameron, he's ready to film Terminator, right?
Yeah.
But it gets delayed because I think it's the Conan sequel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
so-
people that have the rights to Conan or want to make Conan the Destroyer, so they won't release Arnold early, so there's a 9-month delay on the production beginning on Terminator.
At which point he basically writes the treatment for Aliens and Rambo 2, I
Yeah,
believe.
Rambo, First Blood Part 2.
So which one is that in the series, Alan?
It's the second Rambo.
Is it the second one?
It's the
So when I
second-
said it was Rambo 2, did you have to correct me?
No, because it's
Right.
not Rambo 2. The first film's called First Blood.
Right,
So
which is the first film in the Rambo series.
No, it's
No, all right, who's in it? Name the character for me, please.
It's,
is it
John Rambo?
John Rambo,
But
right.
it's not John Rambo Part
Right,
1.
right. So the second Rambo film, Rambo
No,
2,
it's
Rambo
the
2,
second First Blood film.
right, which is the second film featuring John
It's-
Rambo.
It's First Blood Part 2.
So he does the treatment for Aliens and the Rambo 2.
Yes.
Rambo 2. Rambo 2. So he does Rambo 2 and he does Aliens. He writes treatments for those and they're like, oh, this Aliens script's good. Now, it's basically took some elements they had from an earlier script called Mother. Now, in Mother, I don't know if you've read about it, but Ripley wakes up next to Javier Bardem and Ed Harris and Michelle Pfeiffer come round for a bit and it all goes from there. It all goes a bit crazy. I don't know if they ever got around to making that one. But basically, they obviously take that script and are like, oh, this is fucking pretty awesome. The notes that they gave him to start the treatment was Ripley goes back with some soldiers and meets some aliens and then a bunch of bullshit happens. That's literally the fact. And like, James Cameron's like, that's not cool. We're going to do better than that. He writes this treatment and then script. Obviously, in between, he makes Terminator.
Just a little film called Terminator.
Let's be clear. Probably in my top 10 films of all time. The film he then makes, which is Aliens, is in my top 1 films of all time. I mean, not a bad fucking hit right there, pal.
But James Cameron says Terminator was just really me testing the water for what I could try out properly. It's almost like he's demoing things that he wants to try in Aliens. And to think that Terminator is somebody's demo reel.
Yeah, it's one of the great action sci-fi films of all time. My contention is that Aliens it has the rights to be called one of the best films of all time. It's certainly my favourite film because everything about it is really well done. Obviously, yeah, it's directed like gangbusters. Yeah, the action sequences are great. You expect that from a film like this. But the script itself is brilliant.
Yes, James Cameron, as you've said, from the notes he was given, he crafts this script. Ripley's discovered floating in space and she's got an answer for what she's done. She's blown up their giant, expensive ship. She's trying to speak to the corporation that don't go back there. There's some really bad shit back there. Their agenda is, let's try and weaponize this terrible thing she's talking about. So they send her back to LV-426 with a bunch of badass Marines.
The fact that you don't get to spend a huge amount of time with each individual Marine, but they all have their own flashes of personality. They all feel like real people who are stuck in a place, so that rather than it just being like, oh, here's a whole bunch of nameless grunts, you're like, holy shit, they killed Frost. Right? I like Frost.
Oh, come on, Spunk Myers bought it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this film to me is just everything I want from a film, and it's everything that I want from a sequel. And I'll tell you how great this film is. It involves a kid, a dream sequence, and just making everything bigger. 3 things that I normally hate in films. I hate dream sequences, I hate kids in films, cute kids in films, and I fucking hate when you just go, sequel, just make everything bigger. Yeah, that's what this film does, and every one of those bits fucking rocks.
Yes, James Cameron really, I mean, you can tell that he loves Alien because the first half of Aliens is very deliberately paced.
Yep.
Although I think it's common to really think of this as a big action film, but there's a huge chunk of this film.
It's like 45 minutes before a gunshot. Yeah.
It's great because it's in no hurry and it's really concerned with Sigourney Weaver. That's what I like about the first half of Aliens.
Yeah.
It's really about her and she's a survivor
trauma.
of trauma. Yes,
Yeah.
it's like a PTSD thing.
I mean,
where
in that dream sequence, she's literally screaming, kill me. Yeah, if we're going to have a dream sequence, make it brutal.
And in the extended cut, we get a lot of time spent when she's asking about her daughter who's grown up and passed away on Earth while she's been stuck in hypersleep.
It's 50 odd years later, right?
Yes,
Those scenes are actually kind of interesting and cool. The other big scene being the automatic
the
guns.
century guns, yeah.
But they actually do detract from the film. The original cut is so fucking efficient. And actually, the fact that they don't make it a big deal like, Ripley had a daughter, guys, blah, blah, blah. It actually is just like, holy shit, everyone she knows is gone. She's an outsider when she goes back, she's an outsider on this crew of Marines who are all tight.
Yeah.
But then she meets Newt, and it's like, oh, we're both survivors.
Yes.
And she gets to maybe make a family with the option which she would never have if she just stayed back on Earth. That all works without the whole my daughter's dead, which is, though, however, a lovely and kind of beautiful, sad thing to have, and probably did inform the choices and can still be true in that universe, but we didn't need to see it to make the film still work.
I agree. I could have dipped in just with a deleted scene on those.
Yeah.
Especially because it does delay getting to the planet LV-426 as it's now known, because they've sent teams out there to start to colonise, and they're trying to turn this into a livable planet.
Again, the evil corporation waylaid you and I.
Yeah.
Tell you what I liked about this. You know what the future's like? Future's kind of like now, but with popped collars. Because all their blazers just had like, their suit blazers just had like a little popped collar, and I was like, I like that. That's a nice touch.
But again, that's the thing, that you don't want them all wearing like tinfoil suits and stuff.
The only thing that dates it is that everyone's smoking. Still.
That's a really weird thing. But thematically as well, though, the Marines are much more like sexist and a bit like less PC than the crew from the first film.
Yeah.
So it seems like maybe the world's going backwards a little bit. Like society's sort of like going backwards. So smoking's obviously cool again.
It's great stuff. So, I mean, and so we're introduced to Carter Burke, the kind of yuppie. He's a space yuppie, and he's just like, come on, Ripley, let's go back to LV-426, because you know how you said it would be stupid to have colonists there? Well, we've lost contact with them. Boy, what are we gonna, oh boy, what are we gonna do? And then, of course, he also kind of sort of slightly sweetens the deal. We got a real asshole, and he's like, I could get your pilot's license back and things like that. I know you're struggling here and blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, you have Ripley's own real reason for it, which is she's still having nightmares. She needs to face this demon down, this almost literal demon, really. And so, you know, we get on to the Sulaco. Now, here's the thing. James Cameron, I fucking love you, man. You know why? Because you've just made a spaceship a big gun. It's just a giant, big gun-looking thing floating about in space. And you're like, yeah, we're in.
James Cameron, so savvy. Nostromo is the name of a character from a Joseph Conrad book. So now we have the Sulaco, which is the name of like this kind of port city in this Joseph Conrad book. So clever. Yeah. Such a nice decision to just keep that link going.
Yes, absolutely.
And then to create a team of badasses.
I don't know how many times in my life I've used the phrase, come on people, assholes and elbows. You heard the man, assholes and elbows. Hudson, come here.
Any bit of his dialogue is immensely quotable. Bill Paxton as Hudson.
Yeah.
Almost every line of dialogue that guy has.
Stop your grinning and drop your linen.
But also he's a mouthy blowhard.
Gung-ho, yeah.
Yeah. And then the next thing, the alien shows up and he's like, I want out of here. I'm done. We just got our asses handed to us. It's so good. Like to go from that like braggadocious guy to suddenly being like the total cowardly lion. What a great character arc for him.
Yeah. And also he's actually still really good at some of the stuff he does, because he does a lot of the technical stuff.
They rely on him, especially when there's a scene and Ripley's trying to get him to come down from being hysterical and just to go, look, what I need you to do right now is get me blueprints from this whole complex. And it sort of snaps him out of his and it sort of brings him back so that he can function, he can actually help. But it takes Ripley's kind of like steely determination to suddenly like manage up.
Once again, she realises that, all right, guess I'm going to have to fucking sort this shit out again.
Apart from Paul Reiser's Burke, she's the only non-military trained personnel there. And suddenly she's the one that's got to assume command, because, they're all just getting wiped out. And it happens quickly. And at that first sort of firefight, you lose like half that squad straight away. And it's great because you're like, wait, these guys were going to save everybody? What's happened?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I really like. Is it Newt when, you know, Sigourney Weaver's like, oh, it's all right, we've got military here and they're trained and they're going to help us, and she just goes, it won't matter. You're like, oh fuck yeah. Like, she's like, cut the shit, Ripley.
She's like, I've seen these things wipe out this whole colony, and you're trying to tell me that these like 12 people with guns are going to save me?
No, actually Newt's performance, something I noticed this time was like, when you first see her, she is so damaged and feral that I never really appreciated what a great performance to get out of her. And then it just slowly, as the film goes on, even though things are going wrong, because she's found Ripley, and kind of Ripley and her have this weird bond that they both survive. She opens up ever so slightly as the film goes on. Yeah, really nicely done. Actually, it's the sort of thing that could be overdone and mawkish in a lot of films, and they actually just put it right on this is the right side of this. Yeah,
I absolutely agree with you. It is a great performance, but that's the thing that saves her and Ripley, is that Ripley has a humanity that the Marines don't really have. Like everything is like war and combat for them, but Ripley has more of a connection to what's going on.
A real mothering instinct, because she's a chick, right? right, guys? She's a chick. She's probably ovulating at the time. Do the aliens smell menstrual cycles? Jesus.
But do you think it's a James Cameron thing? Because here in this film, Ripley is a lot harder. She's a lot more physical. Her hair's cropped. And it's a little bit like Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2. Do you think it's a James Cameron sort of trait that he likes to use?
He's been very smart in that he has framed this whole film around Ripley, like she needs to deal with this. So he's made her the same character that we all met in that first film, but with all this experience and stuff. You know, she's got shorter hair because she's not bothered about her hair anymore.
Yeah.
She is probably more of an action person and more strident.
Yeah.
It's smart, doesn't take away from the first film and just adds to her character in a believable way. Though I do love the Marines. I mean, Corporal Hicks, this is how he shows his humanity and his love for other people. Oh man, I really want to talk to this chick. Do you want me to show you how a gun works? Okay, so it's like, I mean, he doesn't do it quite like that. He does it a lot cooler than I fucking did. But that's pretty much what he does.
Michael Biehn, of course, had been in Terminator for James Cameron, and that's the thing. I think in a lesser film, it would have been really easy to want Hicks to be like the hero and Ripley to be the damsel in distress, and in saving her, they fall in love, and it's all smoochy. But it's not played like
some
that.
Of that Corporal Dicks.
It's not played like that in the film, and they have nice moments where it's not like a romantic relationship.
But there's intimacy there.
They are safe in each other's company enough that they begin to relax and begin to sort of like have a little moment of light in amongst all the dark. By the end of the film, they've almost formed like this weird
it's a family
unit, like, you know, mum, dad, kid. But Hicks is great, Michael Biehn is great.
His performance is brilliant. Right, they should obviously never remake Aliens because that would be a travesty. That would be worse than 9/11. But like the only person, I know you say Michael Biehn, I always called him Michael Biehn.
Okay.
But I was just like, man, his charm, like he's a badass, and I'm like, man, you don't have guys like that anymore. And I was like, oh, apart from one of my top 5, Timothy Olyphant. He's such a fucking... What we need is some sort of film where Timothy Olyphant gets to play a Colonial Marine.
Yeah. There's a nice costuming thing on Michael Biehn, which is on his body armour. He has a heart painted, and then he has a physical lock with a padlock on the heart. And also there's a bullet hole. Around the bullet hole, it's written Born Again.
Brilliant.
And then a little character beat that I love. When they're in the dropship, dropping onto LV-426, everybody else is ready to go for the mission, and he's asleep.
Somebody wake up, Hicks. Brilliant.
But leading this posse of Marines is Al Matthews as Apone. Now, he's a legitimate United States Marine Corps sergeant. He served for 6 years in Vietnam for several tours, won 13 combat decorations in a 6-year service. 2 of those were Purple Hearts.
Holy fuck!
He was the first black Marine in 1st Marine Division history to be meritoriously promoted to the rank of sergeant.
Wow, he's the real fucking deal.
Brilliantly, James Cameron was like, well, I've got this guy. He had Al Matthews run boot camps and train them like Marines so that they just act like professional soldiers.
And also their relationship with him, he is their sarge.
Yeah. The sort of sequence where we meet the Marines was filmed last so that these people had the whole production to bond and get together.
Great stuff.
So they really do feel like they are a group that have served together for a long time.
Every meal a banquet, every paycheck a fortune. Fucking brilliant, man. Apone is brilliant. So many great lines. Hudson, come here. It's so good. Because you know he's pissed him off, but also he loves him. Oh, actually, right. Okay, we need to talk about this.
Okay.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Played by
Jeanette Goldstein.
Who's definitely Hispanic, right? Wait, what? She's definitely not browned up, right, guys?
It's very tricky. It was a different time. Weirdly, she was living in the UK and a bodybuilder at that time. Went along for the audition. Thought the Alien, as is a joke, is made in the script. She thought when she was going for the film of Aliens, she thought it was a film about illegal aliens. Apparently went to her first audition, prettied up in a dress, high heels, all that malarkey. And then when she got to the audition to read and realised, oh shit, they want me for my biceps. And so it was because of her bodybuilding background that she got the gig. But it is a weird thing that she's playing like a Latina character and she's clearly not.
Here's how innocent we were in those days. And by those days, I mean up until about 2 years ago when I realised that she wasn't Hispanic. Because I'm not going to lie, despite having seen her in many other films,
Terminator 2, notably,
it's like, it's Vasquez. Vasquez is Hispanic. She's definitely not just a standard white lady. I didn't even think about Pirate Man. And don't get me wrong, listen, that's fucked up. It wouldn't happen nowadays, and quite rightly. Yeah. However, what a fucking performance. She's so cool being
her and Drake, both the gunner, the heavy gunners, and every time one of them like badmouth somebody, there's a high five.
And he's like, yeah, come on, we're fucking badasses. And it's so fucking cool. One of my favourite bits in that whole film actually is Gorman is like, Apone, I need you to take all the ammo away, no live rounds, flamethrowers only. And he's like, all right, people, give me your rounds, flamethrowers only. And the two Marines, and they're like, what we're meant to use, harsh language. That's a great joke. That is fucking brilliant.
So we've not talked about Gorman, but he, of course, he's the lieutenant that's leading this squad, but he's the only one that's not combat hardened. The grunts are they've been in the trenches, they've been in dangerous situations before. He's a kind of prissy officer type, and you see that in like their body armours and helmets are all like battle scarred and marked up and personalised. Whereas when we see him in his dress uniform when he goes to visit Ripley in her apartment, everything's clean and tidy and everything.
He's like he's going to go and get like Deborah Winger and like walk her out of it.
Exactly. Although he is that by the book annoying leader for this group and they don't really trust him, they don't really like him, he even gets to have an amazingly redemptive moment with Vasquez.
Brilliant redemptive arc, particularly since his earlier fuck up with the whole lay down a suppressing fire lay down a suppressing fire and fall back and then, fuck's sake, Garmin, you dick. But yeah, absolutely.
This movie's so quotable that we are in danger of it becoming a radio play for you.
I would literally do it all from the start. Okay, so Ripley's ship from the first film comes in, and then like some dudes come in and they realise she's alive, and you hear them go, there goes our salvage. Right, Act 2. No.
We've not really covered the plot, but the plot is they go to look for this alien, and then of course we find not only one alien, as Ripley had said there would be, but at this point the aliens have taken over the entire colony on LV-426, and so there's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of these fully grown aliens. That is one of the aspects where James Cameron's been so savvy to go, well, I'm going to up the ante here, but it's of course logical. And
that ship had hundreds of eggs, and in fact what was great is that Ripley just reminds everybody, she's going, there was hundreds, maybe thousands of eggs in that ship, you can't have people there. Of
course, in the extended cut we get footage of LV-426, and again, we don't need it.
100%. It's better as we come in with the Marines.
Because with their helmet cams and them walking around the facility and they see the damage done by like acid blood and the barricades built,
and also the weird kind of like the way the aliens seem to be able to like secrete stuff and build stuff, which is something that I feel gets lost in later films.
It's like a beehive.
Yeah, like, they're creating their own environment, which was really cool, which also allows them to hide a lot more. Right stuff.
But with all of that, it's the thing that we talk about all the time that we want in movies, but particularly sequels. We want that shorthand where we fill in the gaps ourselves as the audience. We want to put things together. I don't need the whole thing spoon-fed to me. Aliens has given us the answers that I had about Alien. Where did the aliens come from?
Yeah.
Well, it's a queen that lays all these eggs.
You don't need anything more than that. But what's great about the alien queen concept is how when Ripley goes to save Newt and she accidentally stumbles into like basically where the queen's laid all these eggs.
Yeah.
Super creepy. And you're like, holy shit, there's the queen, and the aliens start to come in towards her, and Ripley sort of flamethrowers one of the eggs and the queen sort of screams.
Yeah, the queen and her have a moment when she sort of threatens the safety of an egg, and the queen's like, oh wait, if I sick my aliens on you, you're gonna do these eggs.
And so then like obviously some sort of instinctual link between them and the queen, where the aliens then go, all right, and just they start to back the fuck away.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this bitch fucking is gonna burn all her fucking eggs. Like maybe there's like another version of this film where these aliens are just doing what comes naturally, and this cow called Ripley comes in and is just like murdering their children.
But it does set up that thing where it's suddenly now that we have two mothers trying to just protect what's theirs, and it's a fascinating thing to have in such a big film, especially one that's so oozing with machismo. This movie that's just a balls out action film now at this point, and we have this moment where it's two mothers, two women that are one's protagonist, one's antagonist. That's fascinating.
Yeah, there's no good roles for alien queens anymore. Yeah, it's great. Much like the first film, Aliens is smart, it's logical, everything progresses in a way that you would expect. Nothing's just like, we've waved our hands here, now something else has happened, right? At no point does Sigourney Weaver go, aha, I figured out that you're wanting to protect your eggs. James Cameron's like, you're gonna get this. I don't need to fucking explain this. You can see what's happening just by these reaction shots, of this fucking puppet, which looks great, by the way. And then there is a great bit as well when she starts shooting the egg sacs, and it does look like a big yolk comes out. Like it genuinely looks like, it's like, Okay. The alien queen then's just like, fuck it, you've destroyed my eggs, I'm gonna come and get you, right? Sigourney Weaver basically runs to this lift with Newt, gets in just in time, and the lift goes up, and you see the alien queen look at the lift and go, oh. And then looks at another lift and is like, all right. And I'm like, holy shit. And there's another bit where it's like, somebody goes, they've cut the power. And Hudson's like, what do you mean they've cut the power? They're fucking things. And it's like, yeah, but they're smart, they're adaptable, they're learning. Yeah. You know, they're learning because of their environment.
Oh, they're like the perfect predator. That's what's terrifying about them. Yeah. And obviously, the first film, we only have one alien. Now we have thousands of them. Like,
and they're all evidently quite smart.
Yeah.
You know, you get those TV shows, Are You Smarter Than an 8-year-old? Are you smarter than an alien queen? That's what I want to see. Can an 8-year-old work a lift and kill a whole colony?
Yeah. So at this point, the mission's gone south. The Marines are almost all but wiped out, except Ripley, Newt, Hicks, who's in a bad way, and the android Bishop. And we've dispatched Bishop out to free an exhaust pipe
and align the satellites so they can bring down
the second jump. And what's brilliant in the film is that because of the events of the first film, Ripley's naturally wary of any synthetic life. She doesn't want to be with the androids. It's a really fractious relationship with her and Bishop to begin with, and then it's one of those weird things to say, but like Bishop is almost the most human character because he's so genuinely caring. Yeah. Where Ian Holm ensues Asimov's 3 laws.
He wouldn't roll up a magazine to kill a fly. Never mind choke a bitch.
Not. No. So when it is that moment where they have to send someone out on a sort of suicide mission potentially, Bishop goes for that mission, and it's a moment again just in performance between 2 great actors.
Yeah, Lance Henriksen's amazing.
You know, suddenly Ripley's like, you know what, Bishop, you're all right.
And also then when they get back to the Sulaco and they kind of think they're safe. Honestly, the scene where the alien queen's tail pierces through Bishop's chest and she tears him in half still looks great on my HD fucking TV. I was like, oh, I wonder if this is going to look a bit fucking... Oh, no, this is great still.
Yeah. What I love about the being stabbed from behind by the tail, the barb in the tail, like it echoes the chestburster. Yep. It's a surprise. And then he's ripped in half. So Henriksen's performance now when he's just half a body rolling around on the floor, it's great, and it's all practical. Everything is practical. Like you say, the puppet for the Queen took, I think, over a dozen puppeteers. I think it was 16 puppeteers to work that puppet, and it was all live in camera.
Looks great.
Looks amazing.
So of course we then get the great power loader scene where this is what I love about James Cameron. He uses the whole of the buffalo. Right? There's nothing in this film that he's just like, this is all going to come into play here,
guys.
The
teeth.
There's this cool bit of this film is full of cool tech, and we've talked about the guns. Even I'll tell you one thing that I loved, that I literally just like grinned and sort of clapped when I saw it. You know, in the kind of armoured personnel carrier thing, the really cool car that I really wanted a model of when I was 12, and 37 definitely still do. There's a bit where it's going into another part of the compound, and the kind of roof's a bit too low. So it has the gun turret at the top, and it just shifts it to the back and slides down the back and looks dead cool. And I was just like, that just little 2-second bit that was probably a pain in the arse to do just makes my heart sing.
And it was built on top of a British Airways cargo tug. Right. You know those little vehicles that they push planes out onto the tarmac with? Yeah,
I've always enjoyed a tug at an airport. But then, so there is obviously a bit earlier on, like Ripley's using a power loader to help load some stuff for the drop.
Yeah, because she's been busted down from being a pilot on like these star freighters. She's just been busted down to being like a future forklift driver. Yeah. But man, what a forklift. And it's so going to pay off.
The first time you watch this film, you've forgotten about that cool power loader, but like, fuck, now the Queen's back. She just ripped that guy in half. Ah, fuck, what the hell? What's she going to do? Oh, okay. Cool. Good choice, guys.
She can handle herself in the loader.
It's Chekhov's power loader. That's what it is. It's just cool, great fight, and obviously fucking fires the alien out into space. And the alien goes, "No, damn you, Ripley! I'll get you next time." And then it ends, of course, with they go into their sleep pods, and perfect.
This film, Sigourney Weaver was Oscar nominated for this, and she lost to Marlene Matlin for Children of a Lesser God.
Well, I'm just going to say it, tokenism.
In no way do I think she does not deserve that award, but Children of a Lesser God against aliens, it's not like we are going to be sitting here ever talking about Children of the Lesser God 2.
No,
it's Children of the Lesser God.
Lesser Gods, surely.
So yeah, made for 18 million. million. It takes in 180 million, 7 Academy Award nominations. It wins 2. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's so powerful. It's so good. It still stands up. But it was made in such adverse conditions. You know, made in the UK like Alien had been.
Yep.
But Terminator wasn't out. James Cameron had nominally directed Piranha 2. He was, I think, 31 or something, so a young guy, essentially untested. And of course, the unionised British crew, they give him such a hard time. They make the production as difficult as possible. The union rules dictate tea breaks.
So basically what I'm hearing is that you are against unions. You're against workers having breaks and regulations. All right, Al, if you're happy for that, go out in a podcast. But you, Alan, obviously you side with the Wayland Jutenize of the world. That's fine, mate.
I'm just building better worlds. So yeah, the union are making it as difficult as possible because a lot of them had worked on Alien and didn't like the fact that Ridley Scott wasn't coming back to direct Aliens. Didn't like this young upstart American. So with every turn, second guessing every decision, actually James Cameron having to sack the original first AD off the filming.
Wow.
It's such a damaging experience that James Cameron vowed never to make a movie in the UK again. I just think to make this movie in the face of adversity, essentially, it's an exceptional work. It has to be up there with the greatest sequels of all time, which couldn't be more different to the haunted house in space that we had in Alien. Why can't more sequels do that? What is the issue? Is it that people just want the same thing over and over?
Yeah, well, I think in this situation you had almost a perfect storm of producers who kind of didn't really give a fuck. They were literally just like, we want soldiers, we want Ripley. She goes back and faces a bunch of aliens. And James Cameron was like, well, hold on, I've got a shitload of great ideas. Yeah. And so the producers straight away were just like, oh yeah, no, these are great ideas, because they didn't really have much themselves. Also, the guy that they asked to do it wasn't going, holy shit, this is going to be amazing for my career. What he did was went, holy shit, I love that fucking film. That film's one of my favourite fucking sci-fi films.
Yeah.
In fact, it's my joint favourite sci-fi film. Yeah, I would love to take a crack at that. It's the love, it's the care of Cameron, probably mixed with the lack of love and care from the producers in the studio, where they're like, yeah, just go for it, do it. We just want the money at the end of the day.
They didn't have to care. It could have been a cash grab, but like they invest in it. And well, interesting that Cameron had a hand in Rambo First Blood Part 2.
What one's that?
It's the second Rambo.
Oh, okay.
So interesting that he had a hand in that, because it was part of that wave of like mythologizing Vietnam, and we have essentially a Vietnam movie here where they're fighting an unknown enemy who are embedded, coming through tunnels at them.
He's well aware of it. He's said himself that he was really interested in the Vietnam War and also the experiences of veterans. For Aliens, his idea was it's a technically superior force going in, but finding out that what they're trained for and what their guns are for are useless against this enemy. In his script for what I believe is called Rambo 2, it's more about the lead character, who I believe his name is John First Blood. Is that right?
That's right.
Is actually more about him, the trauma of him being a veteran, and that plays more into it, whereas obviously Stallone rewrote it to make him more of a just a kind of gung-ho hero. But then with that happening, Cameron was like, actually I can put more of that into Ripley's story.
Yes.
So the Marines story is an analogous story to Vietnam, and Ripley's story is an analogous story to a Vietnam vet or any other war vet. Yeah.
Cameron and Weaver have said that essentially they wanted Ripley in this film to be Rambolina.
Nice.
I mean, we love these films from top to bottom.
Yeah. Two of the greatest films ever made. No other sequels were made. And then everyone was just like, we've made 2 of the greatest films of all time. We'll just call it quits, guys. We'll just leave it. What? I mean, you sure don't want to do one after? What are we going to do?
There's no story left to tell.
Exactly. Well, we could maybe talk about some stuff from before the first film. Why would we want to do that? What kind of mental case would do that? And so the franchise ended and everyone was happy. Wait, what? Alright, okay. Let's fucking just very quickly, let's just talk about Ridley Scott, alright? Okay, so I found this stuff from like back in the day. So this is like in like maybe like 1980, right? Okay. Just want to talk you through what Ridley Scott was saying. The producers weren't the only ones musing on an Alien 2, with director Ridley Scott admitting to Fantastic Films magazine that concerning the first film, and I quote, What I missed most of all was the absence of a prognosis scene. There was no speculative scenes or discussions about what the alien was and all that sort of thing either. I believe that audiences love those, especially if they're well done. They give the threat much more weight. If they make Alien 2, and if I have anything to do with it, the film will certainly have those elements in it. From a certain point of view, Alien 2 could be more interesting than Alien 1. Ridley further mused with Cinefantastique that in many respects, it'll be more interesting than the first movie. From a pure science fiction standpoint, we'd get into speculative areas, deal with two civilizations. It certainly should explain what the alien is and where it comes from. That will be tough, because it will require dealing with other planets, worlds, civilizations, because obviously the alien did come from some sort of civilization. The alien was presented really as one of the last survivors of Mars, a planet named after the god of war. The alien may be one of the last descendants of some long-lost, self-destructed group of beings. So basically, Ridley Scott has always wanted to make a cunt of the Alien franchise. Fuck you! And we're going to do Alien 3 and 4, aren't we?
Yeah,
we'll do it at some point, right?
Operates one of the big, like, mechanical guns.
Aye, those things are just the coolest.
Hard as nails.
Again, I people are like, oh, guns are terrible. In real life, 100% agree with you, man. But in films, give me them big, give me them fucked up. I want to see them shooting hundreds of people.